Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
That's half the town, John.
Okay.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We've got a couple of minutes to approve. Two public meetings, January 21st, the last select board meeting, and then on the 29th, we had a special meeting to vote on the warrant. You both get a chance to review these.
Yes.
Any comments?
Move to accept.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So the meeting house contract, you have a revision, John?
Yes, we would like to remove pressure treating from the wood. It wasn't in the original RFP. And he included it, contractor included it. There's reluctance on the part of L-chip because it's not a traditional method. And there's experience with other people on the committee whereby pressure treated wood has not lived up to its claims. So we feel that with proper oil-based primer and proper annual observation and maintenance, that we'll be able to catch problems before they become substantial.
But isn't that what we did last time? And we're in this boat right now?
We
did the-
we didn't, they were linseed oil treated last time.
Yeah,
And though, as far as we know, there was nobody up on the deck looking at these posts annually. Even though we were obligated under the stewardship agreement with L-chip.
yeah.
We should have had somebody up there watching for holes in the wood. And, we didn't.
So are we using linseed oil again?
Well,
And relying on us to look
we're
at
just
it?
saying at this point, oil-based primer.
Is L-chip denying pressure treated?
No,
or-
they're not denying it.
I
They're,
mean, pressure treated
they-
above ground is still pretty better, would be better, I would think, but. I'm just concerned that we're putting something up there.
Big problem with pressure treat, Steve, is paint, for the most part, won't stick to it.
After the end.
That's,
First year.
that's one of the biggest problems. Even if you cure it the time they want, as soon as moisture is absorbed, the paint won't stay on it. That's why we discussed about using an oil-based primer so that they're done when they're dry before they're installed.
Mhm.
So it has a chance to saturate.
now Chris Walcott, who's a architect, has agreed to climb up there. He's been up there before, climb up there annually.
Really, for how long?
He's still a young man.
I told him it had to be 20 years.
Are there other changes?
Bob,
There's a price change, it's not the price for 800 to match the not doing the
the
procedure.
change. So it's less expensive.
Right,
Bob,
Are you gonna paint the primer or leave the primer as the outside coat?
no, primer goes on and then 2 coats of finish.
Okay,
and is Chris recommending this as well? Aaron,
Chris
I'm sorry.
Walcott,
No, Aaron, the builder.
Aaron, he would prefer the pressure treat, but this is acceptable to him.
Any other questions?
So there's one copy, which is, I think it's Steve's hand.
Yeah.
That's the one you should sign.
So that's F that is changing, John?
I'm sorry,
That's item F that's changing from 20,000 minus 8.
yes, F is changing, but also everything in red is also
Right.
changing.
Right. We have a motion,
I'll move to accept.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Begrudgingly,
You can say no.
I know I can. Thanks, John.
You do. Depends on who you talk to. L-chip is using one word. The Meeting House Preservation Committee is 2 words. It's not consistent.
And we have news on Hinkson Brook.
Well, the Hinks is part of the Upper Goose Pond Road reconstruction.
Yeah.
The Hinkson Brook culvert is a major culvert replacement, that has streams requirements and it's gonna, that was the one that they say may get as high as $1 million.
Yep.
It is not included in the budget in the bond that we're proposing. That was the one, the only one that's not. And we had talked about getting a grant application in. So late today, I got an actual letter of intent that we are going to apply for the for a grant that's going to cover initially for the letter of intent is $200,000, which is all the preliminary engineering, and all the way up through final engineering. The reason we chose this grant to apply for is because this one, once we do the full grant application, we'll be able to apply for the full grant, including the construction.
Okay.
The other option we had, actually, you had to apply for the design. It would take 18 months to get approval. Then you do the design. Then you have to apply for the final. It's another 18 months before you get the final. So it's like 4 years out before you would get that. This would be a much quicker process. They don't have quite as big a pot of money, but they understand that there's more intended to get here. But this, at this point, is only a letter of intent and just wanted authorization. It's a 75-25 grant. $200,000 for the total cost, $150,000 of grant funds, 50 for the town.
Do you remember who it's through or it was,
It's through FEMA.
Under the
It's the
mitigation.
HMGP, yeah, it's through the mitigation program.
and this is not, I mean, this Hinkson Brook, that culvert is not critical to the Goose Pond project. I mean,
No,
I know it's in the middle, but. it's
Right, but
not-
that's one that's
it's Still in
actually
pretty good shape.
in okay shape
Yeah.
that we, it's not gonna affect this process, but it is something we can start getting in. We're still looking at probably 3 years before we could
Right,
build this.
yeah. And is it just a replacement or is it increase? the size
No,
of it,
this
or
is meeting
Cool.
current streams and river requirements, which means this will have an open bottom. It likely will be a bridge
Yeah,
because it's just gonna get wide enough. And then the cost to leave the bottom open, most of the time it's cheaper just to build
Yes.
a free span bridge, so.
Okay.
That would be what I would expect. So just looking in where there's no. We use the word no obligation.
Yeah.
I mean, we can stop at any time, but it's a letter of intent to apply.
is our current engineering company the one that's
HEB is
HGB is doing
managing
the-
this
okay.
one. So basically, I just need authorization to sign the letter of intent.
I'll make a motion for that.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Where on Hinkson Brook is this culvert?
So it's on Goose Pond, Upper Goose Pond Road, and it's
Where it
out
crosses it,
right where
it's,
the, can't think of what that road is that comes up there.
Gould?
Gould,
Yeah.
Road.
Gould Road,
Okay,
right
the
next
base of
to
that
Gould
big hill
Road.
right there.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
One of 60 culverts on.
Yeah, I am. Yeah, I know them all, so I was wondering which one it was.
You can feel them every time you're doing it. And we've got, any other questions on that from anybody, or even though we've already. Okay. Interim part-time fire chief appointment.
Basically, the fire department has put forth the recommendation that we appoint Chris Olson
Yep.
as the interim and
Can we read this?
part-time fire chief. This,
I should read this because there's other things in there.
Yeah,
Just that, so.
just read that.
So this letter is to inform you that the Canaan Fire Department and Canaan Emergency Medical Services have chosen Chris Olson as the new combined chief of both services. On January 13th, 2025, the fire department met and selected Chris Olson as the new interim chief after a procedural discussion and unanimous vote. Chris is now serving in this position. I have now become the first assistant chief serving as chief in Chris's absence on weekends and other times when he's not here. This is from Bill Bellion, so. The other officer structure will now have a first assistant chief,
me, which is a second assistant chief Hugh Weatherby, and deputy chief Alton Hennessy. This was also approved by the vote of fire department. We have also placed Steve Kulaks in the Business Emergency Medical Services captain and as a captain of the fire on the fire department. Steve will be providing direct supervision of the medical service branch of the Canaan Fire Rescue. We will now be identifying the combined services as Canaan Fire Rescue, including all of our medical personnel under the combined roster, allowing voting privileges at the monthly meetings, which did not happen previously. All this is to create a cohesive atmosphere and a better spirit of cooperation as we move forward and realize the plan of providing better response to emergencies in our community. We are also doing this to have a unified effort in presenting the plan for a full-time emergency service chief at the deliberative session on February 1st, 2025, and at the vote on March 11th, 2025. Please be advised that Chris and I are working very closely to promote this transition with the combined departments as we move forward with the process of selecting a full-time chief later this year. And that was from Chris and Bill.
I move that we accept it.
Do we have any questions?
The second for discussion.
You have to open.
I'll second it.
Okay. Now it can go for discussion.
Any discussion? This is really, this is a goal that we've been working on for quite a while. Long before, actually before Bill originally retired, so. And I think it's a great thing that it's all gonna be under one thing. Chris has been a dynamo of energy and knowledge brought to that role through what's the organization? Sorry. MRI. And again, we've been very fortunate with people we've gotten out of MRI, and it's a great organization as well, so. So anyways, I don't have a problem with this at all, so I think it's great. Bob?
Officers of Pheasant Lane. Unanimous sounds pretty good too.
It does.
I was waiting when they had the meeting. Well, in my mind, I was thinking, well, were they torn between two people? That doesn't sound like they were.
So Chris is, like I said, has been filling in for MRI for 3 months now.
Yeah.
Probably
Yeah, just
pretty getting close in 3 months. So he's really brought a lot, like I said, not only energy, but knowledge and his main focus is bringing that cohesiveness back to the departments. So
Sounds like good on top of more good.
And this is what, the 15th town? He's done this.
He's done this 15.
He retired from EMS fire. And he went to work for MRI. We are the 15th town. They told me that he has come in and done this, get things merged and get them back up and running. So this isn't his
and
first.
transition to the full-time
Yeah.
program, like this is what the goal is, the whole process is.
So this isn't his first time out at it.
And he has a lot of energy.
Yes.
You're out of breath when you're done meeting.
Fantastic, though. We're very
Yes,
lucky.
it's-
all right, do we need to, we don't even know that any of this.
Well, I mean, typically, whenever the
Oh.
fire department is forwarded, we just accept the
Accept
appointment.
the appointment, yeah. So motion to accept the appointment of Chris is,
I gave it, she seconded.
all in favor?
I
Aye, thanks, Scott. Be on track. Do you want us to sign this, Dave?
Yeah, sure.
This next one looks ominous, Chad.
Well, I put it there just because in case there was anything that needed to be discussed, it's basically just the deliberative session follow-up. We had the deliberative session on Saturday. It went fairly long. There was a lot of discussion, but all good. It seemed like that everybody was, moving in the same direction, and I don't know of any severe opposition to any of it. I think it's a cohesive plan, but just didn't know if there was any comments, concerns, or questions.
So I'd like to make a comment. I don't know if everybody knows this, but we had 55 people online for that meeting as well. So there was quite a bit of interest,
Yes.
there was only 30 people there, maybe. I don't even know what the count was. but
40.
40,
yeah.
okay. I mean, I was just doing it by what I could see out.
Around 100, that's pretty good.
Yeah, so that's a pretty good number of turnout for deliberative, so.
Yeah, this was just open the opportunity in case anything came up.
Yeah.
There were no-
And nobody's phone rang off.
It was you only, so, yeah, it wasn't a normal session like that, so. I also want to say I went back and looked at some of the tape. I thought Mascoma did a phenomenal job with camera work of focusing on who the speakers were. I don't know if you had a chance to look at any of it, but it wasn't just a view of the stage for the entire 4 hours. So it was really well done. They, you know, when somebody was at the microphone, they actually had a camera pointed at that person so you could recognize it and know who it was. So again, we should send something to the, I said to the two students I saw, I thanked them very much, but after viewing that, we should probably send them a letter just saying that they did a great job.
It gives them a good opportunity. Do you know any of those students?
I do, me, no.
No, his
I did the
granddaughter.
one at the camp running that with my granddaughter.
She did a great job.
She's a senior this year.
The letter's a good point, because it allows them to use that as an item that
Yeah.
perhaps we can benefit from next time.
Yeah, because she's been accepted at college for doing that.
Now I'm looking for next year.
I could just edit from last year's letter.
The lighting was nice,
That's fine.
microphone work was
Yeah,
good.
but like and be specific with it.
Yeah.
Like I said.
Yeah, we set one last year.
It was a big upgrade for the one path.
Yeah, we actually talked after the meeting, and the only thing that I
Yeah.
was saying, like we talked about next year, was having the computer be able to sit at one of the desks that we're putting the
Or just put a
information
screen
up.
facing the
And we also need
table.
a screen facing the table so
Yeah.
that people know what's up at that moment, so. that,
Yeah,
What
you know,
the
that
hood was
was-
I had no glitches, it was good.
I think of one observation.
Yep.
So at first I thought the motion and the second to discuss had to come from the stage. And then they started coming out. And I would ask the moderator to lift that a little higher. Because whenever I'm in a meeting and it's like Stephen Freeze, Carolyn Freeze, Stephen Freeze, Carolyn Freeze, so I started trying to second,
yeah.
but he wouldn't look past Carolyn.
We were all pretty quick on getting them opened up for discussion, so.
Yeah, and I just was trying to, get a different name in there for a while.
Yeah.
I don't care that it wasn't me. It's
Right.
just to not look like it's the Freeze show, you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, see, the rules of order on that are you have to have a motion in a second. And then you can open up for discussion.
Very familiar with Robert's rules. I wrote it, but I am familiar with Robert's. rules.
Is that why they call you Bob?
It is.
I mean, I think, Dale's been doing it for a lot of years,
Yeah.
and, he just, sort of have to get him out of the, this is the same one that we've done the previous year, so,
Yeah.
good point. So.
He's in 10 minutes, he said.
Yeah, because then you need to identify yourself, you're not by a microphone, et cetera, so there's other issues.
Yeah.
Oh, they know who I am.
And I didn't until just now.
Yeah.
Okay, so for your at the deliberative, I would.
No, but a lot of that, Bob, was just so we could get it opened up for the discussion, because that's what people were waiting. for.
Again,
Yeah.
I'm well aware of that. I know
Yes.
that-
And I don't know if you want to say it was the free show, Scott was pretty much on there every single time.
Actually-
Some
Well,
of,
after a while, it went down to, it was like, yeah.
good point.
Yeah.
Trying to-
Ann couldn't keep up.
Yeah, trying to keep it in, and all of a sudden it's like, yes, and start going, and she couldn't see
Yeah.
who the second name was.
Well, and also from the stage, it's very hard to see people out there,
Yeah.
because the lights fit shining on our faces, so.
We had a lot more versus the school portion. The school portion only had like 8 people viewing.
Were you there for that too?
Cody, did you have anything you wanted to bring up as a follow-up from deliberative?
Nope.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. And update from you?
Yeah, the only one item that I have for tonight, back to the EMS department, meeting with Steve and Chris. Our new hire, the other new hire, Drew, is a certified trainer, throughout the state for all EMT and all of the different functions.
Yep.
Had his own company, was doing that for a while. We are working on a plan to have Canaan become a training center. The ETA training agent is what we're looking to become. And we're going to be having we'll call it a business plan presented to us, one of the next 2 meetings of starting to have these. The first training session they're hoping to do is going to be in June. And we'll be doing EMT training, paramedic, the whole bit.
Good.
What I'm asking for tonight is just the authorization we're making the application to the state to officially be named an approved site for that process.
Absolutely.
And also part of this program, we will be looking to change our status. I'm not gonna get the words right. For the transfers, the transfers where we will become a paramedic based, and it like doubles the
Yeah.
fees that we can get doing the same work, so all of that is part of,
Because
This
both crew and
process.
Steve are paramedic level.
yes,
Were we a training facility in the past?
no,
But he-
actually
but
Drew
Drew
used to
did
come to the
training
town and
here.
do training.
Okay,
But now we will be a training center.
so
that
what's
he
the
will be-
difference?
We're gonna be a recognized, like, we're gonna be able to advertise to all different. Like, we
So
can say
other
statewide,
towns
you can
can-
come, other
Okay.
towns can come, everybody can come here to this versus.
And pay for it.
We get the trainings on site for just our group. We're now gonna be a training center for other places to come.
Okay,
It's $1,500 per applicant. Like, there's fees and funds.
Yeah, I think what happened before is we'd get a discount over so
Right.
many people could
By how-
get training for free. And
Right.
if we held
This
it
will
here,
actually be a raising money for the fire department as part of this process.
fire slashing
So
EMT
if we-
department, emergency
Correct.
service department.
Emergencies are,
if we have the space for it and some of the smaller towns don't. and-
Right. so it just, but we now have the personnel to make it work.
Excellent.
So just,
See, the
One of those.
UNH T-Square program. I got that in Enfield where we were a approved training center. So every class they held in Enfield, we got 3 free seats for our people.
that was just,
That was one of the last ones I did.
well, I guess if I was gonna win the pool.
Flagger said-
How quick the meeting would be.
Swing your hand in.
Well, we can talk about other business. probably.
Yeah.
It's okay.
You're gonna put that out, that'd be a good thing to put, and if there's a percentage that the town's gonna get because of this or something like that,
Well-
that shows, hey.
We'll have the specifics when they do the business plan, and we're hoping to do that 2 weeks from today. If not, it'll be the next meeting after that, but that's the goal right now, is to have that information out there and then start publicizing it.
March 11th, I'd like to talk about coverage for voting. I'd like to do the third shift if possible.
I was thinking about vacation.
I'll do the second shift if possible.
My schedule pretty much allows whichever you need.
You can
At
you
this
didn't
point.
do any of it, yeah.
Thanks.
One of you have a severe,
Either this time. Morning is better.
first shift.
Sure, what's that, 8?
Yeah.
To 9?
7, 8 to 9, 8 to 7.
Yeah.
So set at 8. Scott in the middle of the day. Long lunch break.
So what hours would you like? I know you'd like me down there 8 to 7, but what
So
hours?
it's 8, it's really 8 to 8 because the third person should stay until.
Yeah, yeah, stay until
Yeah, so 8 to 4, 8 to 12. 12 to 4, 4 to 8, 12 to 4.
Yep.
Great, thank you. Any other business? Thomas?
I actually have, 3
Excellent.
relatively quick things. The first is not good news. I'm serving on the Ways and Means Committee. We've been going through agency presentations. It is pretty clear that we are hurting revenue wise. So it's gonna be a very tough budget year. Despite that, there seems to be a push by the majority to cut more taxes and reduce more revenue. There are a number of us on the Ways and Means Committee and beyond who are trying to sort of focus on the idea that the more we cut revenue, the more we downshift state responsibilities, the worse the property tax situation is going to get. We'll try to carry that message, but there seems to be a big push to continue to reduce taxes, including reducing them, I think in ways that benefit people who really need to benefit. One specific example that came up the other day and that I sort of came upon accidentally. Currently, Department of Revenue Administration, when they gather information regarding the meals and rooms tax or meals and rental tax, really is what it is. They do not gather information by municipality, they only gather information by county. Part of the issue is if somebody's a franchise holder of a Dunkin' Donuts, let's say, and they have one in Nashua, one in Concord, and one in Benton, they can file their reports from, they can pick one of those locations and file their reports, you know, and pay the taxes for all three locations. There is a move, there was a bill introduced that we heard last week in committee to require DRA to start reporting by municipality. My concern, and I raised this, and it was very specifically in one presentation from some, it had a lot of support from cost. And my concern, and they sort of admitted that this was true, is this is step one. The data is obviously would be helpful in a lot of ways, but one of the ways it might be helpful would be to provide big cities with lots of rooms, lots of restaurants, or tourist areas like, say, North Conway or Wolfboro or Marion, to make the argument that instead of being instead of rooms and meals being distributed back to municipalities based on population, which is the current law, that it be distributed based on contribution, which would mean increases for bigger cities and tourist areas and pretty significant cuts for places like Canaan. So I raised that point. I don't know what's going to happen to the bill. It seems to have a lot of support. I'll be voting no.
So just to comment on that, so if they do it by county, switch from county to municipality, that's gonna, same thing's gonna happen, it's not gonna solve the person that has, you know, 25 Dunkin' Donuts.
Well,
They could pick one town and they're where the Dunkin' Donuts is.
Well, I think if that were the case, that, you know, that would be bad, but I
Right.
think what the bill would require is if you own 3 Dunkin' Donuts, you would have to report each one separately.
Wow.
So it's gonna add a lot of work
Yeah.
for businesses.
Yeah.
And you're gonna have to pick and choose, you know. So anyway, yeah, so that's another argument against the bill. The third thing is I had a couple of people say to me, and I started down the road of sort of checking on this, and then I thought I need to come back and talk to you all. At some point, there used to be a yellow caution light at the intersection of Route 4, Depot and.
It's on my list. I gotta go meet with the DOT.
Okay,
We've talked about it.
I've already had a conversation with the guy who is responsible for this. I got connected through the DOT legislative liaison. My understanding, Chet, and you may already be aware of this, my understanding is DOT regionally does sort of their rounds, where they really visit areas. The regional guy told me that they would let us know when they're going to be in Canaan and that they would specifically look at that area. They're apparently trying to move away from caution lights. They think it costs the state. And they're not sure that it achieves anything. But the upshot was they're supposed to let us know when they're going to be here. And I assume,
Well, the other thing, if you've got a connection there, was like, we'd like to talk about sidewalks along Route 4 from the end of School Street all the way out to the end of Reagan Road on 118 because people walk that route all the time.
yeah,
So
I'm happy to bring it up. I'm not
Yeah,
sure how much.
there's very
success.
little delineation and I'm surprised.
Yeah,
people haven't.
I had one brief conversation and the impression I got was their idea was sidewalks are our problem.
Well, that is their stand. but-
State installs them. then it becomes the town's responsibility to maintain them.
Yeah.
The problem down by the Methodist church, well, that got destroyed by state snowplows digging in.
I
But
did my mailbox, but
I mean, but they will tell you that it is the town's responsibility to maintain. I do know,
even if it's a state plow that destroys it.
yes. And I do know on a lot of these traffic lights, what they are looking at. They don't want the blinkers, they want roundabouts.
Yeah, I don't think they're gonna get a roundabout.
No, but I'm just saying, this is one of the problems. You would not believe how many, you start looking DOT, you wouldn't believe how many of these intersections. That wherever they can, they want to put roundabouts. For traffic calming.
Yeah, no, I understood. Anyway, I just wanted to sort of pass that along and.
For the cost of a blinking light, I'm not so sure the town wouldn't be up for footing the bill if the state doesn't, so I don't know.
Well,
Because that's been a point of contention a lot. I've heard it from a
You know,
lot of people.
I believe
One of
we
the other
pay
things
the
that we need to
electric
talk
and
to,
rent on that as it is.
Yeah,
We gotta talk to Liberty, cause my understanding is somewhere we dim the lights that are the street lights as well, like they're not running at full power, so. There's a lot of things that we need to do to start improving visibility in that area.
well, whatever. Whatever I can do to be helpful, I mean.
That'd be great.
On those same lines, along that crosswalk that's right there, that we have barbecue place,
Mhm.
like you said, dim lights. But what's the possibility of having that sidewalk blinker thing?
Well, That I think DOT would be more amenable to is if we're concerned about pedestrian traffic. Then you go to the RRFBs.
That's-
See,
With
the
the rapid
one-
repeating flashing beacons that are on each side.
And that can be manually.
And they
right?
can actually be done with solar, they can be done with a lot of things, and that will also draw attention to the crosswalks and stuff.
See, the one at the high school, the elementary school,
Yeah.
and the ones in Lebanon, DOT based that off of your cars per day.
Right.
And that's why Enfield had to put the one at the school, because last traffic count exceeded vehicles per day. And the state now requires them. Enfield had to pay for that light.
Yeah.
The state oversaw the installation.
I'm afraid someone's gonna get
Yes.
that intersection with barbecue thing at the right time.
Well,
You should start 2 years ago when the kids are going to the senior center.
well, you've
Nobody
got,
would stop.
you've got the senior center, you've got the barbecue place, you've got the library, you've got the town hall, you've got, Evans, or whatever it is.
Evans.
Is it? still
Yeah,
Evans?
Evans.
Okay. You've got, and you've got the parking lot across the street.
Right.
Yep.
So
And
you've
people
got,
just walk.
you've got people walking all the time.
That's a business hub right there. And
Traffic
you
lights.
actually have 5 roads coming into it, because you got the
Right.
4-way intersection,
118.
but 118 so close, people don't look.
And this is actually an ideal time to start this process, because over the next 18 months, we're gonna be doing the water system, we're gonna be messing roads
Yes.
up as it is.
Ooh, a tunnel.
Yeah.
Right.
Pedestrian
Tunnel.
tunnel, there we go.
A tunnel.
Yeah, right. You can swim certain times.
Did Bob
Let
have a
that
question?
Brian Rock.
Well, I was gonna say, and I don't know if it's relevant anymore, but is there an increase of accidents or something that would quantify needing it? But now we're talking about, well, with all these other pedestrian issues, which haven't had enough time to probably show up as increased incidents, but I don't know of any incidents that have happened there except for the lightning strike.
Well, you don't count near misses.
Right.
I've had
Yeah.
several on my own.
Near misses don't get reported.
Right.
Yeah.
And we will, based on the traffic counts that we have, we will meet the requirement for good crosswalks and signalization of whichever kind it is, if it's just signalizing the walk or something, all of that will be. Will meet the requirement for some of that, we just have to determine what it is to make sure we can include it while we're making a mess.
Yeah.
And fixing things.
We always park in the parking lot and we always walk over to the powerhouse and, I mean, it's. Crossing the road is a basic skill you learn when you're like 5, so
Yeah.
I don't
Obviously, I'm not
understand
bringing you
much
to the
about-
meeting,
Huh?
not gonna bring you to the meeting.
these things.
When I was
you don't
five,
have
you could
to
slide
be
across Route
restricted.
4 and not have to worry about
Ourselves.
size.
That's all traffic laws. I mean, you're doing the wrong thing, and that's why you have signs in traffic law. It's not for people who know.
That's it.
That's all I have.
Thanks, Thomas. Anything else, Marie?
So Chet, in the last few years, there has been I don't know if we call it the candidates night here. Has there been any conversation with Ryan about that?
I sent him an email the other day.
Okay,
The Police department normally does
Because the
that.
police department
yeah,
has been
no, I just didn't
sponsoring.
know.
Benevolent Society.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you, Monica.
You're welcome.
Monica thinks she's scheduling.
Yeah, thanks, Sadie.
Inquiring minds like tonight.
Yes,
Send him an email reminder to do this.
Two quick things.
Yeah.
Just
identify yourself, please.
Damien McKenna.
Thanks, Damien.
So on the point, that was discussed a few months back, on the employment, rules of some sort on not having, allowing people to carry guns on them, who work for the town. I would advise to, avoid creating, targets for people who are, say, having a psychotic break and want to go after the town because a deal made 2 decades ago has been reneged and I now have a huge tax bill because reasons. Or a, SSRI adult teen who wants to take out the vengeance on the world. That there's a lot of solid evidence that the more locations are made gun-free zones, the more attacks are made at those locations and are specifically targeted because of it. The other item is that,
I guess I'm not sure, I remember that conversation.
When there was when we were looking at the employee code of conduct,
Okay,
it was included in that. And then when we had talked to the attorney, he said that there would be too many things that were potentially conflicting. We don't want to have 2 separate policies, so we just have to look for what we're gonna add to the personnel policy from some of that. So we just basically set that one aside at that time. So that particular policy is going, now we're gonna be looking over the next couple of months to update the personnel policy to address some of the things we were concerned about.
okay,
so,
That was one that we had taken the policy from another location and it was in there and we hadn't even discussed it at that point. So
yeah.
so Damien, is your request that that's not part of the policy or that it is? That's what I'm
That it's
understanding.
not, that if you are concerned about staff, misusing, guns that they have on their person for self-defense, that you maybe consider adding, requirements around the person being trained. So they're able to, properly.
If we,
handle
I don't think New Hampshire has a requirement. I think you don't even need a permit to
Yes.
conceal carry. But I don't know that that would be enforceable. Personally, I would be in favor of just outright saying, no, you can't have a gun on you at work. I don't,
Well,
I
that
don't,
where the discrepancies come from is law enforcement. That's part of their equipment.
Mhm.
And this is where one of the difficulties in writing those is you have personnel that are required to have firearms for their job. But you also have New Hampshire as an open carry. It's a matter of walking that fine line as to where you do and don't allow it.
where you do and don't allow people to protect themselves.
This is the controversy. Because your open carry laws, people are saying I have a right to protect myself.
Yeah.
But I don't know, is we want to set up here and look at somebody, having a room full of people armed.
You know,
It's,
but it is, and what he is talking about, I've actually seen a lot of. Where there's a significant increase in the amount of gun violence in stores and things like that, that say they're a gun-free zone.
yes,
You know what I mean? Like, it's like, we don't encourage it, but it does make it a soft, well, it's called a soft target.
this is one of the reasons your schools and churches are hit by these cowards is because there's nobody there to shoot back.
Well, the funny
I don't
thing
know if
is,
we can say that.
what I didn't know in California, what I didn't know until a couple of years ago, because it came out. California was training and had concealed carry teachers for years
Yes,
and still do. Like, they actually armed them and trained them for this type of function, but it's pretty widespread in California. Believe it or not,
they tried to keep it quiet.
yes, they didn't want anybody to know.
In California of all states.
Yes,
That's
exactly.
what surprised me when I.
It's exactly the kind of way you want to approach it. Nothing here.
So. Just listening to the conversation. In a state where it's legal to say you can't carry it. I mean, I guess that would be your choice, but I think it would be more beneficial to study, like you said, it's hard to regulate. Well, how can you only carry it if you have proper training? I think somebody would rather say, I'll get the training so I can carry my gun at this job. And then be appropriate. Rather than nobody can have one, if somebody comes in, we're sitting ducks. So I get it. I think it's less dangerous to have trained people in the job than nobody armed in the job and just hope that the cops come around in time to save you.
And New Hampshire does have a concealed carry permit. It's primarily for when you leave the state, but they
Yes.
do have their own permit,
You
so
don't
there is
have to have
training
one.
available. No, you don't have to have one.
You-
No,
yeah,
But maybe you could
but even if
You
require,
could
that
require
way-
that, if you're going to have one here, you have to have it.
yeah, but you
That
require
part
that just to
is
work
separate
here.
than
If you
saying
want
you
to carry
can't have
work
it.
here, get the permit.
It doesn't mean you are trained to shoot a gun just because you have the permit.
Yeah, you
And
have
I
to go
just-
to,
I
you have to
disagree
go through
with-
physical training.
I disagree with carrying it to other states. It's state by state. It doesn't, permit in one. state
Unless
doesn't
you-
Many
allow
states are.
Unless you have a
reciprocal
federal
agreements.
carry.
Yeah,
But
which is
most states
rare.
have reciprocal agreements with certain states.
Yeah.
It doesn't give you carte blanche, but there are certain states that accept. New Hampshire's carry permit.
Reciprocity.
Occurs to me that
Massachusetts.
we should identify the problem we're trying to solve before we institute such a policy.
Yeah, and we're not even talking about it at this moment.
Yeah.
It's like, it's off on the back burner. This is a
Right.
preliminary
Because obviously it's quite
conversation.
incendiary,
Yeah,
Yeah, and it's not a black and white.
no,
but again,
of gray area.
the town should only put things out there that are trying to fix either a known problem or a problem that we can foresee. And if there's not a problem,
and this would be something added to our current policy. Currently, there is no,
Right.
nothing in there. This is saying, do we need to add something?
because by putting it there, like you say, is at the target.
Right.
Pun intended.
You had a second item, Damien?
The other item is that, slightly harder issue,
Harder than that.
personally, that after 3.5 years of trying to maintain, my family's home, we've decided to move. For a wide variety of reasons, not specifically because of the last issue. That's something else. But, between the cost of housing in the area exploding and the increased taxes and increasing taxes and the lack of opportunities for young adults in the area. It was a hard decision, but
Good luck. Where are you going to?
Morristown.
Vermont?
East, it's east of Knoxville,
Okay,
Oh,
Tennessee,
Tennessee.
near the Smokies.
Cool.
Tennessee's a good choice.
they
Gonna
don't
say,
have,
around here, you're gonna find all that other stuff, you're not, but you will in Tennessee.
So, thank you very much.
Thank you.
They don't have the snowplow budgets.
No, they should. Anything else from everyone? I have one quick thing in non-public, so. Motion to go into non-public.
Are we making one? or
I'm making
else?
one.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everyone.
Remember guy,